Well, welcome everyone. I'm excited to be here. My name's John Bennett. I'm one of the business managers here at Side, and today our topic of discussion is going to be how to utilize some innovative lending tools that Side has made available to the Side network. But first off, I would like to take an opportunity to welcome the esteemed, and I do mean the esteemed panel today, learn a little bit more about each of them and kind of where they're from, what market that they work in. So if we could do that and start with introductions, Kelly, if you would just tell us a little bit about your brand, where you're located, years in business, length of time with Side.
Hi, I am Kelly Griggs. I'm the owner of Navigate Realty. We have two office locations, one in El Dorado Hills and one in Placerville, California. I've been with Side for 4 years now, and I have a team of 11 producing agents and a staff of 5 additional support staff.
Thank you, Kelly. And Nicole?
Hi, I'm Nicole Solari with Level Up Realty. I have been with Side for a little over 2 years now, thanks to Kelly. And I work in the Napa and Solano market, which for those of you that don't know where that is, it's that little corridor between San Francisco and Sacramento. And I've been in business now for 6 years.
Thank you, Nicole. And Anthony.
Hi, I'm Anthony Navarro with Harper Real Estate, the founder of Harper Real Estate. Been with Side for 2 years and have been in business over 10 years. And I have a team there's 6 of us total, and then an additional virtual assistant and marketing consultant as well.
All right. Well, thank you for that. And without further ado, I think we're going to jump into the subject matter. And one of the things I wanted to clarify is that I think there's a lot of confusion in the marketplace right now. I think buyers and sellers are being inundated from so many different solutions that they're looking for professional partners like Side, like you folks right now, to help kind of clear the water so they can better understand these creative financing models that are available to them. So I think it's fair to say that confusion reigns in the marketplace right now, and where there's confusion, there's an opportunity for the Side partner to step in. So just for the audience to kind of understand, what Side has done is they've partnered up with some third-party alternative financing solutions that are out there, and then we offer those solutions out to the Side network. We've got things like cash offer that's offered by a company called HomeLight. We've got concierge loans from a company called Revive and Hearth. There's also a trade-in program offered by HomeLight, and I think we'll also spend a little bit of time talking about specifically maybe a bridge loan and the power that can provide your buyers and sellers. So I guess without further ado, what I would like to do is go around to each one of you, and if you could share with our audience today a real life example of how you've successfully transacted using whichever one of these tools that you might choose to tell the audience about today. And it would be helpful too if you could tell us a little bit about kind of the basics of the program. So Kelly, I'm going to start with you if that's okay.
Sure. Yeah. So 20% of my business this year, $10 million of my personal production has come from a product called Trade-In offered by HomeLight. And it's a really awesome product. And I feel like there is a lot of market confusion. And because I understand it so well, I'm kind of dominating this space in my market. So a real life example would be I had a couple that had 5 acres and a lot of little farm animals, and they ran free little mini ponies at the front door, and they had 5 kids and 5 dogs, and that house was in need of a little bit of love to get it on the market, and they wanted to relocate to Tennessee. And the way that it would work now is that we would have to work really hard to get their house on the market and then show it with their kids in the house and the dogs and the animals. And then once we got in contract, go out and shop in Tennessee to find the home. But with the trade in product, we can get the house and the customer approved. They can go shop in Tennessee and write a non contingent offer on a house and be prepared to close escrow. So we close escrow on this house. HomeLight buys the home, and then within 3 days of closing on the new house in Tennessee, then we relocate them and all the animals and all the stuff, and then our crew comes in and does, fresh carpet paint stage and gets the house on the open market. And we're able to give the client 100% of the upside. So I could have sold this house probably as is for about 590. Because they were out, we were able to get it in perfect condition. We listed it for 650, and because of the market, we had multiple offers, and someone just went wild and crazy over ask, and we sold it for 700. So the cost of that program is 1% with a 0.5% for each month that HomeLight owns it. So you can see that the client really won in this scenario. They had an easy button to transfer everything to Tennessee to shop with ease. And then they had us getting the house on the market and they made significantly more money. So I am the hero here, and they've already referred their friends and family to me to do the same thing.
How sweet it is.
Yeah.
It's an awesome example. Nicole, could you share with us maybe an example of one of the tools that you've used with one of your customers of recent?
Yeah, so I love the program that Kelly just talked about, but HomeLight, again, offers a program called Cash Offer, where they actually will qualify you and loan you money up front. So not leveraging your home, your current home, like in Kelly's situation. And the reason that we chose the cash offer over the trade-in product was because they actually wanted to keep their primary home. So it doesn't work if they're not trying to sell, but they also wanted to be able to be a cash buyer. So we had an opportunity to go ahead and, instead of liquidating the other properties that they were going to be selling later in the year, have them get approved for the cash offer. And then the fee for that is just 1% of the loan amount, and move forward with their purchase up in Oregon, which is apparently where everyone's moving these days.
It sounds like it. Sounds like it. Well, Anthony, that leaves you. Could you give us a real life example of one of the tools that you've used with one of your recent transactions?
Sure, sure. And I have also used the HomeLight program, but depending on the scenario, I also will use a bridge loan option. And the bridge loan option is, if you haven't used it, it can be very effective, could be more cost effective depending on the situation. In this case, someone was moving to Texas. The client was moving to Texas. They needed the bridge loan to buy their home in Texas in the $300,000 to $400,000 range, and they didn't have an existing loan on their property in San Francisco. It allowed us to take enough money out for the bridge loan to buy the property in Texas, and then subsequently we got the property ready for sale. We probably put about $25,000 into it with floors and painting, interior, exterior, plus some minor updates throughout the house. And ultimately, the house probably would have sold as is for about $1 million, and we were able to push it up to close to 1.4 with the updates that we did. Just the way it is in San Francisco. Sounds odd, I know, but that's just the way it is. But it worked out pretty well. And then more recently, I've pitched both HomeLight and the bridge loan, and the bridge loan turned out to be, in one scenario, less expensive, but it has to be a specific scenario where they have a lot of equity and their house that they're going to get is considerably less than the house they're selling. And so that's the only way a bridge loan, I think, will work. and still be cost effective. Otherwise, the home light option is superior.
Okay. Well, I know that the three of you talked about some successes, right? But I know our audience, you don't win every deal, and I know that our audience doesn't win every deal. And so can you give us some tips or maybe some hints or maybe share some experiences around when you've tried to use one of these alternative financing tools and you've run into obstacles, maybe some lessons learned? Um, Kelly, I'll go ahead and start with you again on that one.
Well, there's certainly when a new product is released, there's always going to be things for all parties to learn. So one of the things that I would say that was a new lesson is even though we're writing a non-contingent offer, I had a scenario where the seller had COVID and had to kind of stall things out and didn't get the lender the things that they needed. And then there were so many delays based on the customer, right? So when we have all parties working together, usually the customer is as in it as the rest of us, right? So this was kind of a first that because of our own client that things got delayed, that we were not ready to close on the house that we were selling, and that house has to close first. So the other side who is like, why are we waiting for this house to close? So we've definitely inserted some protocols to make sure that the client understands that they have to deliver these timelines or it's on them. But in the same regard, we do have to do a better job explaining to the listing agent, when you're competing against 10 offers to win and you're non-contingent, you're really contingent and that your client has to do the things that they need to do. So I think that was my first little hiccup with that.
Okay. Nicole, could you share a war story with us where something maybe didn't work out quite as expected?
I don't know if it's my luck or just if everyone has this experience, but I have so many war stories. It's always so hard to decide which one. Um, I know that I was talking to Kelly previously, and we were just kind of talking in general about vetting, the details of all of this and really having all parties explaining it. Like she said, and having the listing agent explain, even though they're non-contingent, that there's things that need to happen. I have a war story, so to speak, where the seller who became the buyer just really didn't understand the process and they felt cheated in the end, even though when you break it down, you really saw how that client, who is the seller and then the buyer, came out way ahead and actually saved money using the program. But because it wasn't explained to them up front, the process and how the fees are broken down on one side of the transaction versus the second leg of the transaction, they just felt kind of cheated. So I think communication with these programs and you really understanding it and becoming the expert in it and not relying on the vendor or, the startup company or whoever it is that's offering the funds behind it to be the person that communicates it. You're really going to do a service to not only your clients, but to yourself so that you don't have that headache at the end of the day.
Agreed. And quite frankly, the side people don't understand it in total, right? The side people are doing the best that we can to learn it from a business management perspective and then roll it out to you folks. And so you folks know how to ask the tough questions because you're in the real life situation. So, and that's also useful to share with the network itself. And that, to me, that's one of the strongest suits of being part of the side partnership is just the willingness of the partners to share knowledge. So how do you differentiate yourself with these tools when there's so many out there and there's so much confusion in the marketplace?
So I think just having the tools in your back pocket is your differentiator. Like when I go up against my competitors in my marketplace, no other competitor has even one of these. And when I come to the table with the solution to a problem that my client didn't even know that they had in the first place, and it makes it easier for them and they save money and they save time, that is what's going to win you the business. If they may not even use the programs, they may opt for just a traditional sale. But the fact that you can compete against an iBuyer that's running an AVM and it's only going to give them, 80% of fair market value and their 6% closing cost credits, and you can understand and explain that and then offer a platter of other services that's better for them. Again, even if they don't take any of those services and use them, that's going to differentiate you, that you can even bring those to the table.
I'll add on to that. Multiple times I've shown up to listing appointments and afterwards been told that, I have the diverse set of tools more than any other agent out there, and I've been referred in that regard. So that's been super helpful, just to have these tools in our toolbox that absolutely differentiate us and just show that we're true professionals in our industry and are always trying to stay cutting edge. I take pride in being cutting edge on everything that we offer, not obviously just for myself, but for the team. It's really something that we take a lot of pride in, and it's great to go into a listing appointment and you're the only one offering these really unique tools, and so I'm always trying to stay cutting edge for that reason, because I think you always need a differentiator to stand out. It's super competitive in our market, and you have to have something that's going to potentially put you over the top most of the time. So that's what I focus on and make sure we always have everything that's out there cutting edge. And I do research other tools just to make sure that the ones that I'm recommending are the best. So every company's going to tell you that their tools are great, but you really need to understand, like Nicole had mentioned earlier, you really need to understand these tools from every single detail, because you can't rely on the vendor to really explain everything, and to explain everything to your liking is reality.
What I would say is the most important thing is to respect the third party vendor. So I have noticed that if you work with HomeLight or whoever the vendor is, and you understand that this is startup, this is prop tech, this is a whole different world of people who are outside the industry, learning our industry and trying to make our lives better. I think that's the most important thing that I could recommend to somebody who wants to start adding things to their portfolio. Because if you are not kind, not polite to them, they just won't offer you their products. They work in partnership with you. So if you are really supportive and you guard their back and help them learn and understand and grow with your market, they'll do the same for you. And I've heard them choose not to work with certain agents because they didn't respect that process. So I just encourage anyone watching this to know that you're entering into a partnership and you're there to work together. You're not working against them. And if they make a mistake, you help to support that. If you make a mistake, they help support to cover you as well. So I just want to encourage people to know that it's not going to be a cakewalk in the beginning. You're going to be learning, and so are they. So you need to work together. And if you don't have that spirit, then they just won't allow you to use the tools. It's as simple as that.
And hats off to you, Kelly. I think you got us started with one of those vendors and did really good work with them. And from that, it has just catapulted into, other parts of California. And I'm here in Texas, and the programs are working well here in Texas as well. But I think, part of that is, being part of the side network. We're already, perceived as top level, right? I mean, you have to be top level to be even on the team. So being able to make sure, as your comment was, that we're not just top level to our customers, but we're top level to our outside vendors is really important, because you're right. They've got choices to make, for sure. So, interestingly enough, the title of this, we were supposed to talk a little bit about iBuyers, and I think the title really, iBuyers have really become iBrokers in most situations. And if you look at the marketplace, I just read some data with regards to third quarter earnings reports, and the iBuyers market was really in the tank. It went down in excess of 80%. in Q3 of this year, which is, we all know why, right? We all know what's going around us, but as side partners, we've been fortunate that our business actually went the opposite way. So while those programs were really heading south, we were heading, north very, 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 very quickly. And of interest to me is that those programs, those other vendors, have actually increased their buy box, right? So effectively, the kind of home that they'll buy, and also the value of the home that they'll buy, and also how much of that valuation that they'll buy. Have any of you had any experience with crazy offers coming in on some of the cash offers that are being put out there to any of the competitive situations you guys have been a part of? Kelly, I know we talked about one before.
Yeah. Yeah, so I have had an iBuyer situation where the customer actually was a HomeLight trade-in referral. So HomeLight called me and said, "Hey, I've got somebody who wants to trade in their house. Go out and see them." And we did a fantastic presentation, and we offered all of the things available to us. And this person was in the tech industry, and so he pushed all the buttons and got, open door and Zillow offers, and he was kind of pitting everybody against each other, but he loved me and he really wanted to list with me. But the offers that came in were just crazy. I really believe that, whoever won lost, because the home is just not going to sell that high on the open market. And that's what understanding your local market is really about. But the difference is that even if I did all the repairs, fixed the house up and sold it on the open market, I wouldn't hit that number. Not at all. So I think that the consumer actually won. And I think that, Zillow and Open Door are probably going to take it in the shorts on a few houses because they just needed to get some data points in and get some numbers. And so I think that, you know, uh, sellers are kind of seeing the value of going on the open market right now because they are getting multiple offers. So I think that's why it's probably slowed down a little bit here, and that's why they need to do some crazy things is to, get some business in the door.
For them to get profitable, they need to get a larger piece of the transaction, right, of the total transaction. And so that's why you see them buying up brokerages, you see them buying up title companies, escrow companies, right, just to have more involvement in the transaction, because that's where the real profit will be if they can't make it on the cash buy, on the iBuyer side. So any other additional thoughts, Anthony, you might have with regards to that?
Well, the one thing I wanted to mention, which I didn't mention earlier about the bridge loan, are the fees, just to give you an idea for folks that might consider this. So on a $350,000 loan, assuming excellent credit, the interest rate will be 7.95%, which would be an interest-only payment of about $23.18 per month. And there's a 1.5% loan origination fee, and another $200 to $2,500 for title and escrow. So that's just the framework of what you could get with this particular bridge loan lender. They're pretty good because they have a lot of flexibility. This bridge loan lender that I personally use. If someone wants to use the one I'm using, you can give me a call and I'd be happy to give it to you. But just wanted to make sure that information, you understood what that product really was.
I liked your idea. I'm an archer. You guys don't know that, but I'm into archery. And so, I equate all of this to just additional arrows in my quiver, just knowing that they're there and that I can pull them out when I need to. Different kind of animal takes a different kind of arrow. And I kind of equate that to the same thing that we're looking at here. So I know we're probably running up on our time. I wanted to give each one of you an opportunity to maybe share a nugget of gold or put something on a bumper sticker, if you would, with regards to the subject matter that we've been talking about today. That would be a good lead behind. for for our audiences today. So I'm going to go, and I guess I'll go in alphabetical order to make it fair to everybody. So Anthony, that's going to be you up first.
All right. So the final nugget, I would always just recommend to understand the different programs that are out there that will appeal to the specific client, especially if you have clients that are above the caps of different vendors. For example, one vendor might have a $3 million cap, and if I have someone that's looking at a $4 million property, I need to find an option for them. And there are options out there, actually. So don't let those deter you. And you just have to be resourceful and find something that's going to work, or go back to the original vendor and see if they're willing to sharpen their pencil to help them win the deal as well, because they're in it to win it. They're a startup. So you have to be flexible and nimble, but there are other options out there, and some of these vendors are willing to play with you, whether it's a bridge loan or the trade-in program. And there's other companies that offer a similar type of trade-in program as well. More expensive, I'll say. Trade-in, the HomeLine version is definitely one of the least expensive I've found. So that's basically what I wanted to say.
Kelly, how about you?
I would say my nugget is use every single listing to get another listing. So we will, back when we were doing open houses up until very recently, we would have an open house and advertise, trade your house in for this one. And our agent in the open house would be asking people, hey, do you have a home to sell? And so even if they were coming from the Bay Area to here, we would just refer that listing to one of our side partners there and make a very nice referral fee, and then help that customer buy this home. And a lot of the times you'll fall into groups of people that are utilizing this. I fell into a group of doctors, and they would just refer me out. So we've done quite a lot of these transactions. So learn one, become a master in it, and then use that to advertise yourself. And I've taken a lot of listings just from posting on Facebook about the trade-in program, and they turned into regular sales. So just because you're advertising for one particular service doesn't mean that they'll end up going that way. So it's good.
Right. I think that echoes Nicole's comment about that. Just having the tools available doesn't mean that you're going to use them. It just shows that you're truly a professional and you have a lot to offer. Okay, Nicole, our parting nugget from you.
My parting nugget is probably to never let the competition win, because we have so many things that can compete with these iBuyers, that can compete with your competitors. I know we're really focused on talking about iBuyers, but really understand if your client, like Kelly says, is getting this crazy cash offer and it just seems almost too good to be true. Not always. Sometimes the consumer does win, but sometimes it really is too good to be true. They sign this contract, they get beat up by inspections, that AVM now becomes a BPO, and they have a real value, and there's a clause in there that brings them down to within 10% of the BPO. I mean, there's so many fine print things in these contracts that the consumers don't even read. So if you understand all of the products and you really know like the iBuyers inside and out, there's another product that Side has a partnership with, or like Anthony has a bridge loan, that you can compete with whatever offer is on the table.
I think one of the most important things is that that we as side business people, as side agents, side partners, is that we don't fear the iBuyer programs that are out there, any of the disruptors that the shiny new nickel that shows up, because there's going to be plenty of those that come into the marketplace. I think instead, you rely on our growth team and for us to pick best of breed tools that we can then incorporate into our product offering, and you guys become, as you already are, just seasoned, trusted advisors to the consumer, and you're basically helping them understand what I believe is just a confusion reigning marketplace out there. So with that said, I want to thank you guys very much. I know we're extremely busy. It's crazy. Every one of my partners that I'm dealing with, it's the busiest time they've ever had here at this time of the year, and we're fortunate. And so it's exciting that we've got that going on. I know you guys got a lot going on in on your plate, and so I just appreciate that you would take the time to help share your knowledge with our audience today. So thank you very much.